This is a tooth setter for the bandsaw blades for my bandsaw mill. It's a Suffolk Machine Corporation tooth setter. After you sharpen the blades a few times, as you grind these down, you start losing the kerf on the bandsaw blades, and then the blades start wandering in the wood. It doesn't cut as well, so you have to set these over. One tooth is set over one way, one tooth is set over the other way, and then one tooth goes down the middle as a raker. Amount that the tooth is set over sets the kerf that you cut in the wood. Well, anyway, that's what this does, is to restore the kerf in those blades after you use them for a while. And it's got a hat channel here, and then another piece welded in it with these with this belly in it here, this framework in it here. Got jaws on it. They're kind of a compound action jaw, and the blades fit in there like that. And then you've got adjustments on both sides here for the depth of the blade, how far it fits down there. And then on these jaws, there's two sides of them, and they have, I'm calling them anvils. But when you push down on the, let's go one more tooth on that, when you push down on the handle, that squeezes the jaws together and also clamps tight this guide here that the blade goes down through to hold the blade in position. And then these anvils, one of them comes over and bends the blade one way, one of them goes over and bends the tooth the other way. And then it's got this handle to advance the blades. You can set this handle so that it's indexed. It goes back 3 teeth, and then it pushes forward. It pushes 3 teeth past the blades here. So your 2 teeth that you just set go past the anvils, and then one more tooth goes past it. So you're setting 2 teeth every 3 times, or every 3rd tooth that goes by. Well, that one goes by then and squeezes. Of course, the height is adjustable for different widths of blade, and the handle here is adjustable. The stroke on the handle is adjustable depending on the pitch of the blades. This one happens to be a 3/4 inch pitch, which is 3/4 of an inch between each tooth here. I said that's adjustable for the pitch so that you're always running 3 teeth by there at a time. Well, I just got done with that, resetting the teeth on about 20 some blades that I'd sharpened up. Some of them needed it pretty bad, some of them didn't need it quite so bad, but I just went through the whole bunch of them and set them all so they're all the same. And it took me a while to set this thing up. I had a heck of a time getting it set up. Well, I remember, I think the last time I used it to any extent was when I built this hanger. I cut a bunch of lumber for that, and I remember trying to get this thing working then and having a heck of a time with it, and finally wound up just going ahead and buying some more blades and having them shipped up. And I forgot about that because it had been so long since I did it. So this looks like a pretty simple setup, and it is a pretty simple setup, and you'd think it'd be pretty easy to work, and it is pretty easy to work, except it doesn't work right. So the handles go forward and that all works right, but these anvils are adjustable depending on the pitch of the set of the blade that you want. And you've got adjustments right here. These screws right here adjust the anvils, the depth of the punch that you make on the thing. And these screws on here, you screw it in to push the anvils out, and then screw it back for less set. And these screws on here have a big knurled head on them, and they're calibrated all the way around and marked with hash marks. And it says on here that each mark is 1/1000th of an inch. The problem is there's no indicator on here to indicate where the screws are set. The other problem on here is that there's no spring or anything to return those teeth back once you if you overset them. And then when you go to screw this screw in to set the teeth, this screw, it goes into a bushing here that's threaded, and there's a spring on here for tension on the thing to keep it tight. Problem is, when you screw that in, as you go to adjust it, that spring winds up, and it as you use it, then it backs this nut off, and so you lose your tension. And then when you if you over tension it, if you push it in too far, this block here is not attached to that screw. Let's get that blade out of there so I don't cut myself on it fooling around with this. These blocks here are not attached to that screw directly, so that screw will push the blocks out, but if you overset it, they won't push it back in. And so as this screw unwinds, it doesn't come back in all at once. It comes in just a little bit at a time because this thing doesn't slide in that groove quite smoothly. So this head here with the anvils in it is attached to the jaws separately. You got a couple of socket head cap screws that hold it on. And then this is two pieces here, and they've been spot welded together, but there's a groove milled into it right there that this anvil slides back and forth in. And he said it doesn't slide smoothly back and forth in it. I've polished this up before. I was trying to get this straightened up last time I used it, and I'd forgot all about that, but I'd polished this up before, and it still is stiff in there. It still doesn't slide smooth. There's a washer on here for the spring to seat onto and to slip on, but you tighten this up and that spring winds up, and then it starts unwinding this as you use it. And there's no friction or anything on this screw to stop it, to hold everything in once you get it in position. Can't just take this block apart and clean out that cavity there because it's been spot welded together. Maybe I can find a small stone someplace and stone the inside of that groove. But that still doesn't solve the problem of being able to retract that, to adjust that, and to keep this screw from walking it backwards once I get it set. Well, they're both the same. They have both the same problem on both sides. But this side's not as bad. The off side here is not as bad as this side. It'd be nice to be able to have a positive engagement with this anvil so that you could retract the anvil when you overset it. But even more importantly, we need some way to lock this down once I do get it set where I want it. And it'd be nice if there was some kind of an indication on there, or an indicator on a pointer or something on there, so you could get a positive indication. But when you go, I can look at that and eyeball it and see, okay, there's one turn, but then it backs off. The spring backs it off. So I need some kind of solution on this as to how to fix this so that I can get a positive adjustment on that to make it a little easier to use this tool. I said the wife and the kids bought this for me for Christmas several years ago, and I think they paid about $900 for it, but it's overpriced at that. But right now, it's an overpriced anchor the way it is. I did get it to work and I did use it, but I can't depend on it because you can't get these anvils to stay seated. They just won't do it. Somehow I need to get this thing set so that I can make positive adjustments on it, and once I get it adjusted, I can get it to stay where I want it. So that's the question of the day. That's the problem of the day. Actually, it's going to be a problem for another day because I'm done with it for now and I've got other projects to do, but that's something I've got to figure out how to fix sometime before I use it again, or next time I use it. Well, if anybody has any ideas on what to do to fix that thing, it would be appreciated.